What's up guys, welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be giving my predictions of Game Week 7 in the Premier League. Bournemouth against Fulham. Now, since these two sides got promoted together a few years ago, Fulham's record at their vitality has been terrible. Bournemouth have won, I think, every game between the two there, and I think that's going to continue. I've gone 2-1 to the Cherries. Friday night under the lights. Bournemouth have enjoyed a good start to the season, although they were held by Leeds last time. I say held by Leeds, they almost lost the game and they required a last minute or a very late equaliser to get something. Fulham lost against Aston Villa, gave them their first win of the season. And obviously I don't like Fulham, so maybe it's a bit of bias, but I do back Bournemouth to get the job done. Leeds against Tottenham. As I mentioned, Leeds almost beat Bournemouth last time out, and they are actually still unbeaten at home. They beat Everton, and they've drawn with Newcastle and with Bournemouth, so they've had a very good start to life back in the Premier League at Ellen Road. Tottenham have been a bit mixed. They started quite well. What was it, 3 wins in 4, then drawing to Wolves is really bad, and they drew with Postecoglou, again really bad, and they haven't looked very good. Well, they were all right in the first half against Wolves, but second half they were horrific, and they were terrible against Postecoglou as well. Tottenham have shown that they have tendencies to just not start games very well. They were 2-0 down against Brighton, they were losing against Wolves, they were 2-0 down to Postecoglou. They have shown a good comeback ability, but Ellen Road is a ground where it's very hard to quiet them if they are doing well. And obviously, it's going to be a bit emotional for Archie Gray, former Leeds player, was fantastic there. Hasn't really worked out for him yet at Tottenham. It definitely will, because he's a top class player, but I don't think Tottenham are going to win again, and I've gone with a 2-2 draw. This is a hard one to call, man, because obviously Tottenham do have so many good players, but they're just not playing very well, and Frank hasn't really adapted as well as I thought he was going to at Tottenham yet. Again, I do think he'll come good. He's a very good manager, but right now Leeds do look very strong at Ellen Road. Arsenal against West Ham, London derby. West Ham have actually won the last 2 games at the Emirates against Arsenal in the league, and they've kept clean sheets in both of them too. Arsenal cannot really afford for that to happen again. They played really well against Newcastle, and the way they came back was very good, although they were very lucky that Gabriel didn't get sent off for a clear hit on Watermine's face. I don't know what he was doing, but he did score the winning goal, and Arsenal have shown a lot of resilience this season. They scored late equaliser against Man City, where again they played really well. And West Ham did look better against Everton. Like Magassa was fantastic. Diouf, wow. Bowen once again on the score sheet. I think under Nuno they're going to be very good, because they have now got a much younger team who are a bit more able to run around. Obviously the defensive issues do need to be sorted out. And starting Kilman and Mavropanos, it's tough to see how you can sort it out with them too, especially considering they're going to have to actually defend a lot more now, because Nuno does like playing the counter. And all the players like Magassa, Diouf, Bowen, even Paqueta, Mateus Fernandes, these are all players that can play well on the counter. The defenders the centre backs at least just aren't good enough. Like Tadebo's their best centre back on paper at least, but he hasn't really been playing. But Arsenal have been fantastic, as they settled well. Declan Rice and Zubimendi are starting to get a much better understanding. I mean, I've always said it, but Zubimendi should be the 6 with Rice as the 8. I think they complement each other perfectly that way round. And yeah, that's arguably the best midfield pairing in the league. In my opinion, it is the best midfield pairing in the league. Saka's just come back from injury. He did score in the Champions League though. But it's a real shame that Madueke's out, because he started really well. But the defence has been fantastic. Timber, Gabriel, Mosquera, Calafiori, they've all been fantastic. Saliba, again, has been good when he has played, but he's been a little bit injury prone. But he just did sign a big new contract, so I'm sure he'll want to celebrate that with a bang. And I've gone 2-0 Arsenal. I think they just have too much quality. West Ham will definitely get points in the coming games, and they've got Brentford coming up, which they'll definitely win, especially under Nuno. But this game will be very tricky for them. Man United against Sunderland. Man United have been horrific at the start of this season. Amorim should be sacked. I don't know how he's still there, to be honest with you. They spent big money and he has not delivered. Sunderland started perfectly. They've been so good. Their last away game, a 1-0 win over Nottingham Forest. Fantastic performance. It was a proper counter-attacking game. Roast was fantastic though. They made quite a lot of saves. But yeah, Sunderland didn't really allow Nottingham Forest to have too many clear-cut opportunities. And I think it'll be a similar sort of plan here. Man United don't do well against teams that like to sit back, and Sunderland know that they can do that to a very good standard. Obviously, the danger of going to Old Trafford is that the referees are always in their pocket, and there may just be a few dubious calls here. Man United will probably get every 50-50. I am trying to do this based on if it was a fair game, which is probably not how I should do it. But I've gone 2-1 Sunderland. I think they will just counter-attack Manchester United. I mean, the way Man United played against Brentford was horrific as well. Like, he's trying to play a high line with Harry Maguire, bro. And I like Harry Maguire. I think he's a good player. He was definitely overhated, but the guy can't run, man. Why are you playing him in a high line? Like, Brentford bullied Man United. It was horrific. And Bruno Fernandes is one of my favourite players in the league. And on the other hand, Sunderland defensively, Alderete, Mukiele, Groves, all been fantastic. We haven't even really seen Gertrude yet, who's another very good defender. Xhaka, Siddiqui, who's moving like Kante. Like, bro, that's a really good spine there. They're gonna hit a lot of teams on the counter well. And yeah, Isidore has one of the best minutes per goal ratio in the whole league. So they've got goals in them as well. Chelsea against Liverpool. Now, Liverpool don't really do very well at Stamford Bridge. They did lose here last season after they'd won the league. I say here, I'm not associated with Chelsea, just to make that very clear. Fuck Chelsea. I feel like this fixture's quite a drawy one, especially at Stamford Bridge. And I think it's going to be another draw. I've gone 2-2. Neither side's playing particularly well. Although Liverpool have started the season very well in terms of points and wins and stuff, they haven't played well. Chelsea, again, just haven't played well. They have a real discipline problem. Every game they're getting a red card. Both of them are a bit defensively frail. I mean, Chelsea have been very strong from set pieces. Liverpool are quite strong from set pieces too. I mean, I don't really want Liverpool to win the league, but I hate Chelsea, so I'd definitely prefer Liverpool win. Aston Villa against Burnley, claret and blue derby. Now Burnley, I mean, they haven't got many points on the board, but they haven't actually played that bad. Do you know what I mean? I mentioned already in multiple prediction videos, but those losses against Man United and Liverpool were so harsh, man. Last minute penalties. It's just really, really sad. But they were smashed at the Etihad last week, and Aston Villa did get their first win of the season last week. Now, I'm recording this before their game in the Europa League is finished. Obviously, there could be some fatigue issues and stuff, maybe a couple injuries, I don't know. But I have gone with a 3-1 Aston Villa win. I think their quality should shine through, even if they do have a couple out, like, Sancho, Elliott, they're not playing. I don't rate either of them very highly. Against Burnley, they should be able to do a good job. Everton against Crystal Palace. Now, Crystal Palace are on the longest unbeaten run in their club's history. They just won in the Conference League as well, but they did use a lot of their first team players, like their first choice players. And despite their fantastic start to the season, they did lose against Everton away last season, where Dwight McNeil scored 2 very, very nice goals. Obviously, they're not going to Goodison Park this time. They're going to the Bramley Moordock Stadium, where Everton are still unbeaten. They were held by West Ham last week, though, in a game where you probably would have expected them to win before the Nuno Espirito Santo announcement. But I do think that Everton will hand Crystal Palace their first loss of the season as they win 2-1. I think the fatigue will catch up with them a little bit. Dewsbury Hall, I believe, will be suspended, but that will mean we could see Injar on the left, Grealish in the 10, Dibbling on the right, and I'm very excited to see that, hopefully with Barry up front as well. And if that is the case, I do think, although Crystal Palace are very good defensively, they may struggle with that. Newcastle against Nottingham Forest. Newcastle absolutely obliterated Union Saint-Gilloise in midweek in the Champions League. And they were fantastic in that game as well. The way they created some big opportunities. Obviously, there were 2 penalties, but there were 2 very clear penalties. It's not one of those, there were clear penalties. Waltermada looks fantastic, looks like one of the buys of the season. Can't believe people are mocking that signing. That Bayern director, whatever he is, calling Newcastle idiots for paying that much money for him. You're an idiot, mate. Hold that, you cunt. But for Newcastle, selling Isak for 130 mil, bringing in Waltermada for, 65? That's incredible business. Isak's been terrible for Liverpool. Waltermada's been fantastic for Newcastle. They've literally won so convincingly. Now, obviously, I'm now an Isak hater because the way he went about it was just horrific, and I hope he fails. But for Newcastle, they are starting to click. Tonali was fantastic. Lewis Miley's getting more minutes. It's very unfortunate that Tino Livramento will probably be out for the next 2 months or so. Hopefully he comes back soon, because he is so good, and the way he got injured was so sad as well, because it's just a terrible challenge from Saliba. He's so good, and he'll be back. But we could see Lewis Hall finally start. Ilanga's starting to find his feet more. Gordon did score 2, and Barnes also scored, so there's definitely some competition for that left wing spot too. And even Osula, he's looked really decent. Visser coming back soon. Things will start to look up for Newcastle. Nottingham Forest, on the other hand, I think are very much on the way down. I'm not saying they're going to get relegated, because I think the squad's far too strong for that. But the signing of Ange Postecoglou is one of the worst any football club has ever made. Currently, as I'm recording this, Nottingham Forest are losing 2-1 to Midtjylland, and Murillo has got injured again. So Postecoglou's already broken him. How's he done this, man? He did it to Van der Ven last season, now he's doing it to Murillo. Come on, man. The guy has no footballing tactics. Defensively, they're going to be all over the place. They've gone from one of the strongest defensive managers in the league in Espirito Santo, a brilliant counter-attacking coach, to a guy that just wants possession, and it's just so boring, man. And I think Newcastle are going to obliterate Nottingham Forest for this reason. Eddie Howe will completely outclass Postecoglou again, as Newcastle beat Nottingham Forest 5-1. I'm going to say 2 goals for Walter Marder. I think that Malik Chow, who's also looked fantastic so far, is also going to get on the score sheet for the first time as a Newcastle player. And I'm going to back Sandro Tonali to get a goal as well. That's only 4, ain't it? You know what? I'll say Harvey Barnes off the bench will also score. And he did it last season at the City ground. And for Forest, I was going to say Elliot Anderson, but I don't think he'll have a good game against his former club. The Geordie Maradona has been one of the best players in the league this season. He is so underrated, and he's finally getting the recognition he deserves, but I do think he'll have a poor game. I'm going to say Gibbs White scores for Nottingham Forest. No, you know what? Callum Wendo gets his first goal for the club. Wolves against Brighton. Now, Wolves finally got a point last week against Tottenham, but they are still winless after 6 games. Brighton, very hit and miss. For some reason, still starting Lewis Dunk every game, even though he is shit. They did beat Chelsea at Stamford Bridge, which was very nice to see. Now, Brighton are just so inconsistent, so Wolves really do have a good opportunity here. And if they don't win here, like, when are they going to win, man? I don't know. But I don't think they're going to win. I've gone 2-1 Brighton. I think it's just so toxic around Wolves right now. Defensively, they're making loads of mistakes. They're not scoring anywhere near enough. They're not really creating enough. Although if Lewis Dunk is playing, there was very real possibility they could score a couple of goals in this one. But they're just terrible, man. And they've given their manager a new contract. Like, what are you doing, bro? But for Brighton, it's a big opportunity. You know, they haven't started particularly amazingly. Although, with that being said, they have beat both Man City and Chelsea and drawn with Tottenham. So you say that and it's actually been alright, but overall they haven't been amazing to watch. This is a good game to build on the momentum from their last win. Brentford against Manchester City. Brentford are actually unbeaten at home under Keith Andrews, believe it or not. 2 wins and a draw. They beat the other Manchester club last week. Man City are just a bit like Tottenham, you know, like they look really good one game and then they're like, oh, a little bit shaky. Like Monaco, they drew in midweek. But Ryan Cherki is back, and that is huge because Doku and Haaland will finally have some help in that final third. Reinders, after a fantastic debut, has sort of fallen off a little bit. He definitely hasn't shown those levels yet since that game, but he definitely will. He's a top-class player. Kokusmov still out is huge because that means Brentford on the counter could be very dangerous like they were against Man United. This is the speed of players like Sharda. However, Erling Haaland's in fantastic form. Jeremy Doku's in scintillating form. He's easily the best left wing in the Premier League right now. I love the guy. You can go back to 2020 to prove how much I backed that boy, and I'm so happy to see him now starting to find a consistent run of games and also finally play in an inside role because he's been electric. And them two are going to combine for a couple goals as Manchester City beat Brentford 4-1 in West London. I don't know if Cherki will be included. He might be on the bench. He didn't make the squad against Monaco. You'd expect him to be on the bench, wouldn't you? Because Man City creatively have not shown a lot outside of Doku, who has been amazing. But really, if Man City are going to be in a title race, you've got to beat Brentford, man, because they haven't started, again, particularly great. But they definitely do have the ability and the squad to fight back and get themselves into the race. Those are my predictions this week. Let me know what you think in the comments down below, and I'll see you soon for another video.